Welcome back, Shticklers. It's 2024, and it's our first episode of 2024. We're starting a new season. I believe it's season 4. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for sticking it with us. And let's hope for a beautiful 2024 and on to our episode.
The Joystick Show. The Joystick Show.
How's it, Sticklers? You know it's the Joystick Show, where your 3 favorite brothers from Hawaii have gathered to talk story about things we've read, watched, or played. Shakas and mahalos for sticking around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. I'm your co-host Drake. That's Scott.
How's it?
And our third brother, Thomas, is doing some things. And he's going to be out and about for a little bit. What were you going to say, Scott?
No, I'm just agreeing. Oh, yeah, he's doing some things, all right.
What kind of things is he doing?
All the things.
I know off screen you had mentioned a little bit about vampires. Did you want to
talk
about it
so
before we
here's a
start?
little dumb, fun thought I was thinking about. We all know vampires aren't real, but in the lore of vampires, do you think welcome mats work for vampires?
I want to say
Like if
potentially.
Is that like consent to come in the house because it says welcome? You know.
Excuse me. I got allergic to that question. I don't know. To be honest, it does say welcome, but you have to assume that the vampire in question can read. And does it have to be a verbal indignation from a human being to the vampire? Could it be in different languages? Does a vampire have to actually understand it?
Yeah, because what if you like texted them, you're like, "Oh, just come in," you know? Like, would that work, or they gotta hear you, you know? But I thought it'd be funny because then, like, what if it was like a vampire, like it was a movie and a vampire stumbles across it, and it was like, I mean, technically, and then like he's able to come in, and he starts telling his friends, like, I mean, if you just like you really think about it, you're like, technically they're saying to come in, then it works. You gotta believe, and like you can't put it there, like they gotta put it there.
Yeah,
you can't just walk up the doors and put welcome mats down.
Yeah, that like
You know what I
that
mean?
dynamic
Like,
between the people in the household. They're like, wait, we didn't let you in, vampire. And then the vampire's like, well, but there's a welcome mat outside, so it's like,
He's like, I didn't
and
put
then
it
the
there.
people
And
are
he's
like,
oh,
yeah,
he gets sucked out or something.
Yeah, that would be super hilarious. But thanks for that little tidbit, Scott. I feel like we miss a lot of those hypotheticals, but we've been having some great ideas in general.
Mm-hmm.
But as sticking to our program here, we've got a little bit of news where we'll go over the cast of The Last of Us for the next season. Netflix, Daredevil, and Defenders Saga added to the MCU timeline on Disney Plus, which is fantastic. A little bit of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. The Emmy winners, of course, and then we'll move on into trailers where we'll talk about our Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video game that's coming out soon, Halo Season 2, Mr. and Mrs. Smith Season 1, and Spaceman, that's going to be on Netflix with Adam Sandler and his grossing deal. We'll give a little bit of review on Echo, Ted, the miniseries, and The Brothers' Son. So why don't we just jump back into news so we can get to what we really want to talk about.
Oh, wait, real quick, in regards to Thomas, honestly. Thomas is out due to an upcoming procedure, so he'll be back post-surgery early February.
Early Febs.
Hopefully Feb,
sooner.
Guys, so it's not that far away, you know?
Yeah, not that far away. He's doing some cool stuff. He'll be back more bionic than ever. And with that being said, how do you feel about who is casted for Dina, Jesse, and Abby for the next season of The Last of Us?
I saw it, and I don't have anything against it. It looks good. I enjoyed the first season, and I trust the people making the show to cast the right people. So I'm for it. Do you feel a certain way about it, or?
I mean, I like Isabella Merced. I like Young Menzino. I like Caitlin Dever, who will be playing Dina, Jesse, and Abby. in order. I am going to be interested to see what they do with Caitlin Deaver, if she's going to have to bulk up a little bit, because Abby in the game was slightly more buff.
That's very
I
true
think,
too. Yeah, I did think about that.
yeah. Caitlin Deaver does have a very good range, so I think that's going to be very interesting moving forward. Isabella Merced, I think, also has that kind of a range. She's played dramatic roles, she's played funny roles, so I think it's going to be very interesting to see what comes of that. Would you say that you're as excited for The Last of Us more than the Disney Plus adding the Daredevil and Defenders saga to the timeline? How do you feel about that?
Ooh, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean it's pretty awesome. But it's like the more the merrier. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. There's really not much to say there. It's just like, yeah, thanks for doing the right thing there, Disney.
Yeah.
Keep doing those things.
There you go.
I know something super exciting that's going to be coming out of Disney soon. Jon Favreau is going to direct the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, to which I think we've seen kind of like a weird poster where it's just like the Mando carrying Grogu. What are you expecting out of this? What are your thoughts on where the storyline's going to go? Do you think it's going to be a team up movie? What does it need to be for you to, I guess, like it? I don't know.
I don't know. Because I was thinking about all the different ways they could do the movie, and I think I'd be happy with all of it. Like if it was like him going deeper into like taking a certain path, like maybe he goes back to like, not that they do this, but he's like, I want to be a Jedi now, and they follow that, or I want to be a bigger Mando, I want to do that. If it's like a spin-off filler, or some buddy cop space movie, anything, I think it'd be great. Like Jon Favreau, the fact that Jon Favreau's heading in and it's going to be a movie makes me think they're going to put even more money into it. And he's going to make sure it's solid. Like, I'm sure he knows and he's aware of what everyone's already been saying about, like, all the other spinoffs and whatnot. I don't know if this is going to be a, like, an ending, too. Like, I don't know. You think it's going to be, like, the button to, like, the show? Like, that's another thing I was thinking about.
I think, well, to that point, I mean, obviously, if Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are bringing it all together, it should be great. That button idea is very interesting, because when you have things like Ahsoka, when you have things like the Book of Fett coming in with Mandalorian now, if it is a button to kind of help bring the larger story together, kind of like a little appetizer before like Endgame kind of a situation, that could be super awesome in terms of bringing hype to Star Wars, because Acolyte will be coming out soon as well. Also, the continuation of the video games. So, there's a lot of excitement there.
Or it could be another like push to be like, hey, come back to Disney Plus, or like bring in new people. Yeah. Like I have no doubt that it's going to be a good movie. Like, especially if it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Like, I'm sure they're going to knock it out of the park. It could be a thing to like try and bring viewers back, though. But I hope it works, Like, and I hope this means that going forward they're gonna like just do what they really feel is good work, and not like.
Yeah, because the last time we saw them was on the Space Ranch, right? After all of Mandalore was united.
I think so. Yeah.
So we'll see where it takes off from there. I mean, obviously we like it, so we're gonna watch it. So, what more awards can we give it aside from a potential Emmy? We've got some Emmys that. Wow, great segue.
I know. Whoa. Yeah.
Did you watch the Emmys at all? I bet you didn't.
I sure didn't. Yeah, I did not watch Emmys, but I saw like who won stuff and whatnot, and I feel like all the people who won all the things were, ones that were kind of like, no shit. Like, and I'm happy they won it. Like, we were talking off air a little bit about like The Bear winning best comedy, which was interesting. We're like, it kind of wasn't fair because it's not
Really a
Bear wasn't
comedy.
fair.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
like really a comedy, but it
yeah.
was. It was a lot of funny moments. Maddie Matheson always made me laugh when he was on there. Um, and they had some fun interactions and whatnot. But it was like heavy drama, really good
Yeah.
writing.
Super
But
heavy
it's funny
drama.
that it's one like for this one other thing it also does. You know, it's
Yeah, it's almost like saying that all of Quentin Tarantino's movies are comedies. It just doesn't really vibe. I mean, some of these winners here, I think throughout you just see kind of the same shows, and
Mhm.
for right reasons. Obviously, The Bear, Marvelous Miss Maisel, Abbott Elementary, Ted Lasso, Shrinking, The White Lotus, Succession, obviously The Bear. Like these are, and also Beef. These are kind of the shows that
Mhm.
really confounded us over the course of, and pretty much The Bear, Beef. They're the two top winners within the whole situation here, and Succession, obviously.
oh yeah, it was the end of the show itself, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
believe so.
kind of awesome. I did like to see that there was Andor on there as a nominee for outstanding writing for a drama series, which I like to see. I like to
Oh
see that
hell
a
yeah,
lot.
dude! Andor was so good. I still recommend that to everyone who hasn't watched Andor. Like even if you never jumped into any of the Star Wars stuff, like just give it a shot. It's so good.
So good. Yeah. So the Emmys, I think, a little bit more. What is that called? Political in that sense as well too. But it is nice to see some of these individuals winning awards for the things that they're doing and the things that we're enjoying. So
Mhm.
kudos to everybody. Keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, do it better so that we can see more things.
Yeah.
Moving on to what? What, Scott? What are we doing now?
We got trailers.
Oh, no
There's a
way.
lot of good stuff coming out.
Say
We can
more.
start with a video game that we're hoping. Okay, the rest looks really good, but this one we're hoping is really good.
Oh.
It's the Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Apparently, we've been hearing mixed reviews about it. I think it looks fun, but I guess not everyone does. But it from what we've seen, it looks kind of like Marvel Avengers game, which kind of got
action
a
adventure
bad rap.
RPG. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we had a lot of fun with it. It's a good game to just play with your buddies and like talk shit. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I'd like to see a DC variant. I feel like there needs to be that balance between Marvel and DC consistently within not only the comics but the cinematic universe and also the video game situation. I do like the characters. I like the idea. I like what they're building off of in terms of the games that are pretty much already established. I do want to see improvements as it pertains to like online compatibility, kind of level development. Because sometimes when we were playing Marvel Avengers, the levels are kind of the same a little bit, even though there was a little bit more, dissertation between.
Repetitive.
Yeah. So I have high hopes for it. I think they also have high hopes for it. I know a lot of games have retracted themselves and taken longer to come out, just because they want to make sure that the launch is good. Because first impressions are everything, much like Cyberpunk. I mean, even though it is good now, a lot of people just don't want to play it just because of the initial release. So hopefully this releases real good. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
I know we got to see some of that Halo 2, or I should say Season 2 for Halo. I know you kind of thought like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. What?
Yeah, I mean, so I watched the first season. Again, this is one going in, we're like, it's going to be so cool. And then as it went on, it just was getting kind of, and I stuck it out. I finished it. It was okay. Not what I thought it was going to be, but watching this new trailer for the new season, I'm feeling pretty excited again. Apparently it's supposed to be about Fall of Reach, like the book. And
Reaching Fall?
Is Reaching Fall. Yep, for AKA
like
Reaching
right
Fall.
Before After Summer, right? Or
that's the one. Yeah.
Yep.
It's about that. It's about the seasons really on Halo. No.
Season pass?
But
fall risk.
Yeah, like it's really, I guess this is what I thought the first season was going to be about. And then they gave us like, I guess the first season was a prequel, and then Fall of Reach is basically a prequel to the Halo game, like the first game. And it dives into like them going into the program, and like he's building friendships, and not everyone makes it through, and there's lasting Spartan friendships he makes it with, and they're going through different battles, and some die off, whatever, and it's like, it's a really good book. I recommend checking it out. Especially if you like Halo.
All the Halo novels are good.
Yeah, I mean, well, I read the first 3. They were good. I didn't read any after that, but
it gives a lot of good context to the game for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool to just like, like they create a backstory on these characters, like, and they dive deeper into like what the Spartans are capable of, cool shit they can do. Some of them specialize in other things. Like John was like considered like the lucky Spartan. He could, for whatever reason, I mean, you play the games, he just lives through shit. He's just a lucky dude. There were some that were like the strongest, the fastest, the best shot sort of thing. It was kind of cool to, it's kind of, I guess, kind of cliche, but it is kind of cool to see them all like working off each other and like going on cool mission stuff, like, through book format.
I mean,
so
the game when we first got Halo, it was kind of just you were that one person, and to find out there was more characters, kind of spread it out, kind of like how you played Mario for the first time. Like, it's just Mario, and now it's Mario and Luigi and Waluigi and Wario, etc., etc. So that's
you dive into like a rich game now. You're like, oh, this is cool. There's so much going on. But the trailer looks sick. Like the Covenant looks really cool. Like looks like there's a lot more action going on, which I assume people. That's what I assume was going to happen in the first season. So I mean, I hope they're not just showing all the good parts in the trailer, but it looks like maybe the budget's better. They're sticking to a better story, and it should be good. Like,
it does look more.
Like, after watching season 1, I was like, I don't know if I want any more of this. But after watching this trailer, I think it's turned me around. I want to check out more. This just in. Thomas is beaming us a question. What is it? Does he keep his helmet on?
Wait, are we talking about his head helmet or his other head helmet?
Both. What he does behind the scenes, we don't really get to see. But it seemed like they found like a cool common ground. Like there's parts in where he's like no helmet, shooting things up, and then it like he earns his helmet and he's like, now I gotta do shit. And like he's like the part where he puts on his whole armor is gonna be like the climax of the show, maybe. So
the climax. The Spartan mini, if you would.
But it looks cool. I mean, the way they did it, I'm on board.
Okay. So erase your memory of Halo completely.
Okay. Done.
And you don't know anything about Halo, and you're a first-time viewer, and you saw season 1, and now you're seeing season 2, and then you've done a little bit of Wikipedia research. Maybe you read a book or two. Do you appreciate how they went about this series as a person who doesn't know anything about Halo?
I don't know. Like season 1 had lulls in it that were like, they were just focusing on characters I didn't really care about. And it felt kind of like some other show you've seen that were just like, can we get to the meat of it? Like I don't know, maybe like the writing just wasn't strong. So
yeah, agree.
If it was strong, I would have cared about these other characters. Maybe that's the way to put it. I only like, you go in, of course you want to see Master Chief, and like I'm in on that. So even if it's less than what I think, I'm still gonna be on board. But if you start introducing new characters that like maybe not even in the games, maybe not even whatever, like the story's got to be good, the writing's got to be good, and it wasn't all that. And I don't know. But this one, it looks cool. Like the action. If I didn't know anything about it, and I was like, I was expecting action in the first season, and I wasn't really given that except for like 2 or 3 scenes. Based on this trailer, it looks like they're like giving us way more action. So I'd probably be back on board. It
looks a lot more like the game when you play the Fall of Reach. It feels more like that, which I think like you said, the action is something that is necessary. Another trailer that we saw that has a lot of action is Mr. and Mrs. Smith with our new caricatures. Donald Glover
Mhm.
and Maya Erskine, who played John and Jane Smith. What are your thoughts on this new rendition? I guess the third rendition. How many renditions of Mr. and Mrs. Smith have there been? I don't know, a lot. How do you like this one now?
I think it's the second one. I only know about the movie. Um, and that was what John Hamm and Gal Gadot, was it?
Wait, what?
No. What am I thinking? No, that was a second. Was that a second? Oh, am I thinking of something else?
Yeah,
That Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
that's a different thing.
What was the
Yeah.
other show with John Hamm and Gal Gadot? It was like
That's
a
the
Mr. and
one-
Mrs. Smith kind of ripoff. Is that what it was?
Yeah, like they were I think they were neighbors or something with somebody else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Yeah, that's right. So dumb. That one was good. Um, that was the one that initially like everyone was like, "Is this why Brad Pitt divorced Jennifer Aniston because of
Oh
this
yeah,
movie?"
because of
Like, right? This
Mr.
was
and
like
Mrs. Smith.
so that's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this was
Well,
before the
that's the
Seven
only one I
Kids.
remember. That was good. But
Yeah.
so hearing about the show, I gotta admit, at first I was like,
What?
I'm surprised that Donald Glover is in this. Like,
Yeah.
based on all the stuff he's been doing and whatnot, it felt like this is without watching the trailer. I was like, it's kind of a weird property to jump on. Like, what's he? Does he need money? Like, what's going on? Like, he can do whatever he wants in my opinion, right? But then I saw the trailer and it looks like it's shot really cool. I don't know, maybe he has like a part in the way it looks or whatnot, but it does, like, I remember you mentioning it kind of has that like Atlanta sort of feel to it, like the way it's shot and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually on board now. It looks cool.
Yeah, if Donald Glover is doing any sort of writing and directing in this situation, I'm about it. I mean, obviously, we know that Maya and Donald are really good comedic writers, so I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not that comedy is going to shine through. The cast is ridiculous. Like, John Turturro's in here, Paul Dano's in here, Alexander Skarsgård's in here. Yeah, Isaac Gonzalez is in here, Sarah Paulson is in here. Like, what are we doing? Like, the cast is crazy. Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. And we know they got all the monies. So it's gonna, all the explosions, all the gun shooting, all that stuff is gonna look freaking amazing. So and with the way just going off the way it's shot, it looks like maybe the storytelling is gonna be awesome too. So I mean, if you can make all that work, like, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, let's just be super excited, and if it sucks, we'll just let everybody know.
That sounds like a plan, dude.
Sounds like
I'm
a
gonna
plan,
do
man.
that. Yeah.
Have you ever thought to yourself, Adam Sandler in a dramatic role in space? Have you ever had those thoughts before?
Never. But never thought that.
You've never thought that ever? Oh, okay.
Never ever. What if someone told me Adam Sandler in space? I would think. Remember that movie Rocket Man?
Yeah.
I would think that, like, oh, okay, they're like remaking that movie with like the comedy movie where he's supposed to go into sleep and he wakes up early and he's just awake, which was hilarious at the time. I forget that what's his name? That comedian.
Stephen Barry.
No, it's not. It'll come to me. But we watched the trailer again. I went in having certain thoughts about it, and it blew me away. Like, I am a big Adam Sandler fan, and I like his Adam Sandler's. Just said his name wrong. Adam Sandler fan. And I like his really goofy movies, and I know he's done like really great dramatic ones, like was it Spanglish? There was that other one, Uncut Gems, was great.
Oh, yeah.
So he could do both, and I'm just a big fan of him in general. But seeing this trailer, it takes a weird left turn, but I'm still about it. Did you watch the trailer?
Yes, I watched the trailer. Once Paul Dano's character kind of came into the fray, I was like, interesting idea of introspection that I don't think we've seen from Adam Sandler. I mean, he's done that before on a very comedic side. Yeah. But I thought this movie was going to be, like you were talking about, Adam Sandler wakes up in space, and then it becomes like I'm talking within myself to kind of, pass the time and blah, blah, blah. But they took this to a whole different level. If you have arachnophobia, you should probably be aware of this movie. It's in the trailer, so it's not really a
because
spoiler.
there's like a giant spider in it. If you haven't watched the trailer, and it's one of the, like, even in the trailer, he's like, don't worry, like, I'm your friend, kind of thing. And I'm like, still getting the heebie-jeebies looking at that damn spider. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like freaking Ron Weasley watching this thing, like, just like terrified. I don't know if it's like in his mind or it's like a space creature that's like feeding off him, because it's like it looks like it's tapping into his memories and making him like remember things and relive certain moments. But
Yeah.
there's also a part where he's saying like, I just want to go home, and it seems like the spider doesn't really want him to. So I'm thinking like maybe it takes a turn and he's like, just like, it's kind of like a Black Mirror thing where he's feeding off him.
Did you know that
and
this
it'd be kind of
movie
cool
is
if it
based
was
off of
that.
a book? Oh,
Wait, was that?
this
It's
movie is based off
of a
a book, a novel called Spaceman of Bohemia. It was written
Oh, I
in
didn't know that.
2017.
Oh,
But to your point of like that
Is it
Black
good?
Mirror situation, what other premise do you think Black Mirror wise would be an interesting episode?
oh, are we gonna talk about it? The thing we were talking about
Yes,
earlier.
we are.
Okay,
Yes.
so what if this we were talking? This would be a cool Black Mirror episode. What if like you had a closet,
Yep.
and in that closet supplies you with something that you knew you're gonna want. I think it started with like Amazon joking about Donald Glover going like,
Oh, yeah.
right? Amazon was like, "Hey, we'll give you free delivery forever." And he's like, "What? Like, I don't even need that." And they're like, "We'll give you yesterday delivery." And we're like, "Oh, wouldn't that be so awesome?" If you're like, "Oh, you know what I need?" And then you check like the closet and it's already in there.
Yeah.
And then we were saying like, what if you check the closet and it's like, it starts giving you stuff like way in the future you're not even like thinking about, and it starts hinting what you would start putting together, like it's like a shovel, duct tape, like things that you're like, am I gonna kill someone and bury them?
Yeah. What's going on?
And then really it's like in there for something else that you actually just need all these, like maybe you're building something or you're gardening or some shit that you didn't know you were gonna like love, but you end up killing someone because you have the tools you thought you were gonna do it.
Yeah. It's like Minority Report, but with things in a closet.
Yeah, it's like what's a Minority Report.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna start.
And then Tom Cruise comes in and busts you for your closet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got ideas. We're writing them down. But in terms of trailers, I think all of those things we're super excited for. Halo season 2, Mr. and Mrs. Smith season 1, and Spaceman, obviously Adam Sandler. Hopefully that movie is the drama that we crave from Adam as of late. He's been making really good drama, so great transition in your later years as a comedian. But, Scott, we have some reviews to go through. We've watched some things, but we've kind of funneled them down into some things that I think we can definitely talk about. Did you want to go first, or should we do me, or should we talk about
you?
the joint?
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
Because I haven't seen this show,
Oh,
and I think the second one we've both seen a little bit of, at least. So
yeah.
I do want to hear about the show.
Okay.
I've been hearing good things about it. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes, it is.
What's it called?
It's on Netflix. It's created by Brad Falchuk and Byron Wu. It's called The Brothers' Sun, S-U-N.
Nice.
And man, I thought this show was gonna be like and then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, it's like an interesting like comedy kung fu movie, and then it just gets so much deeper. It touches on so much Chinese, Asian cultural practices. It talks a lot about how you would feel as an Asian person in these kind of situations, and not the pressures, but kind of the everyday things that maybe aren't necessarily talked about or revealed too much within media as a whole. But essentially, the premise is Bruce is just like an average guy, and it turns out that his older brother, Charles, is one of the top heads in a triad. And his mom turns out to be someone that he doesn't really know because her interactions with her oldest son Charles, and all of these things start to kind of unfold where the triad lifestyle kind of invades his own lifestyle. So imagine like someone who's like super afraid to die gets into a world where like honor and death are like a normal thing, and the family dynamic starts to change and move around, and you get a lot of this action and backstory, and it's enthralling, especially again for a lot of for the Asian parts. But there's a fight scene where they're using a drone to do a long shot where they're circling the fight scene. It's even more, I think, dynamic than the long fight scenes we've seen in things like Daredevil.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, like Old Boy. But it like the fact watching it, I was like, holy crap! Like this drone movement is crazy. So aside from that, the cast is Michelle Yeoh, who's like obviously super awesome. We've seen her in things like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and for Everything Everywhere All at Once, etc. Then you have Justin Chen as Charles, who's like this super handsome looking ripped dude who's also funny and can act. And then you have Samsung Lee as Bruce, who's kind of like a Ronnie Chang who speaks English a little bit better. And then you have this guy named June Lee as TK, who's kind of like this lovable, haphazard character who kind of makes a lot of mistakes, but is kind of integral to the meshing of the whole community. And then you have some other reoccurring individuals like Alice Hukin and Jenny Yang, Madison Hu, Ron Yuan, etc. And there's this one part where John Cho, wait, is that the guy from Harold and Kumar? Yene?
I don't know.
John Cho? Anyway, there's this long part where they're where they're at his mansion, and that shit's super hilarious. It's super hilarious. So to encourage you to watch it, I would say you like kung fu, you like great acting, you like comedy, you like Asian culture. If you like all those things, watch this show. Like it's just a good. Aside from all those things, it's a great show. It's greatly written, it's greatly directed. There's tons of action, etc., etc., etc. Tom,
was that? Is someone else?
I forgot to mention that Tom Tarkong Michelson was also on this show, who cameoed in it and had a role. That person was on this show, yo. You interviewed him with Tom Bomb, and now he's big time, or he's on Netflix big time.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, you met a famous person.
Yeah,
you met a famous person, Doc.
Okay. Yeah, we gotta support that dude. That guy was awesome. This show is like, is it like an hour long episodes, or is it like, like 30 minutes sort of?
It's like what 40,
are we getting into?
48 minutes or so, 45, 48 minutes. And how many every episode curtails into I need to watch the next one. What's going to happen on the next one?
Gotcha.
Every single episode is that way.
That's freaking cool. Okay.
The relationships, you just want to know more about them. You want to see them flourish. You want to see how they are going to take place. Man, it's good. It's good. Just watch the show. There's parts, there's twists, there's turns, there's obvious things, but it's funny, it's poignant, it's heartfelt. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah,
let's stop the podcast. You watch binge the whole episodes, all the episodes right now.
Pause. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay.
Since I'm so good. No. Yeah, I gotta check it out though.
Okay, so I've convinced you to check it out. Now you convince me what you liked best in your review.
Okay, well, I just started watching Ted.
Wait,
I didn't realize it came out. It's this new series, Ted. If you watch the movie, it's about Mark Wahlberg and his teddy bear, and he wishes that it was real when he was young, and he grows up with it, and he smokes weed with it, and it's just a comedy. It's hilarious, right? They have a show now, and it's like it's right after Ted becomes real and becomes real famous, and then the world doesn't give a shit anymore. But Mark Wahlberg's character is still young, and he's going to school. It's hilarious. Like, I forgot how funny the original Ted was, and it captures all of that, and like the the jokes are just funny. Like, there's just certain scenes, certain setups that are just, I don't know. Seth MacFarlane is, I forgot how funny that dude was, and like the
Yeah.
writing team he has put together. Also the cast,
So
like I know you're a big fan of Orville,
I am a
and
big
they
fan of
got some
Orville.
Orville peeps in the show that'll
Tell me
blow
about
your
it.
hair back, dude. It's
Blow my
awesome.
hair back.
Yeah, just hilarious cast, and the kid who plays young Mark Wahlberg does an awesome job. He does a really great Boston accent, and
Yeah, Boston.
yeah, Boston,
What are you doing
and
here, Tommy?
yeah. Hey, say hi to your mother for me, all right?
All right.
He does a freaking awesome job. Yeah, you got to check it out. It's on Peacock, and if you have it, watch it. And if you don't,
Peacock.
get it, dude. What the fuck are you doing? Just fucking watch it, okay?
NBC.
Jesus,
Isn't
wasting
that
our time
interesting?
over
How NBC is owned by Disney,
there.
and Seth MacFarlane is so, I think, edgy, and to have him on that platform, it's just, I think it's just interesting in contrast, how Disney kind of has encapsulated some individuals that you would maybe consider them on the opposite side of what Disney as a
Well, I
company
think Seth MacFarlane,
values.
as we know, he has a very successful, few very successful shows. One of
Family
which
Guy,
we've watched
American
for
Dad.
years. And even if you don't watch anymore, it's still a popular show, Family Guy. So
Duh.
it's like, it's kind of like, I feel like it lives in that realm of South Park, where as long as the writing's good and people are interested, even if it pushes the boundaries, it's still like it's like undeniable. Like, it's still written in a way where it's like, they're not total, like, this show is not totally punching, they're not punching down,
No.
but they're still touching on things that are kind of circulating, like what you can and can't say, but just done in a really funny way. And the character is silly, like, it's a talking teddy bear, so I think he kind of gets away with, he can get away with that too.
Yeah.
He's like a cartoon. He's not real. He's like this teddy bear that the world accepts is a real thing.
Yeah.
He's the only thing, like, they know he was wished and brought to life, and like, oh, okay, and the world's okay with that now. So it's like, it's already a weird world, so like, you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. And yeah, like, to what you're saying about like how I think he just falls into that category, like the guys who write South Park.
I was
Undeniable.
watching an interview with Seth MacFarlane, I think on GQ, and he was discussing how the idea for having this character Ted, of like a teddy bear that's wished to life, and he's got this like, interesting idea and word speak and vernacular, and kind of says what's on their mind, etc., etc. But the whole rest of the world around it is pretty normal, and it's kind of beautiful. And Seth does this really well, and a lot of his work is to be able to talk about current events or talk about kind of funny situations or premises, in a means where the consumer or the viewer, it's not super harsh. Like, you can kind of get into it and you see where it's going and coming from without feeling a negative vibe about it. And I think Seth MacFarlane does that real well. And you agree?
Yeah,
Question mark? Oh.
Yeah, I think he's agreed. And you agree? I was like listening to you. Like, yeah, we agree. You're like, Ed, you like these things? So, I'm sorry, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Seth MacFarlane's like a genius. He seems like a really good communicator. He can get the funny across. Like, his pitch meetings are probably insane. Like, he just goes in there and like he's able to pitch a show about a teddy bear or even a movie, and like, I'm sure he makes everyone laugh. He writes his own freaking music for the damn show. Like, it's crazy.
True, yeah.
Like, it has that Family Guy touch. The transitions are very like, and then it starts the next scene. Like, he's like writing, like, that guy's a freaking genius.
Yeah, he's good.
He's great.
He's good at
So,
his job.
do I like these things? Yes.
Question mark? Okay.
Question
Wow,
mark?
I did not expect that answer from you after all the things that you said.
Now you know, dude. You
I
live your life
mean,
knowing.
I just
Welcome to the Matrix. Okay, what?
yeah, it was funny to bring it back to the brother's son. The kid Bruce wants to do improv, and we see
Okay, that's funny.
he performs in a Groundling show, and the Groundlings are kind
Oh,
of
really?
featured in there. Yeah, and it just reminds me of doing scenes and just pimping people to die. Like, oh, that really sucks. I guess hopefully they don't kill you later, and then it's just. But that's like a
You're not supposed
reality
to
in the
do,
show.
yeah.
Oh
So
my god.
funny. Yeah. I love any show
Improv.
now that like I don't know if it's because we've done it like even Monsters Inc. the Monsters University
Yeah.
where they were like it was like a small little part. It's like oh well, hey, join the improv club where you make stuff. Like, oh damn it! Like he like messed up the pitch. I'm just like that
Yeah,
always
they
makes me
shit on
laugh.
improv so much. It's so funny, dude. It's so hilarious.
But dude, that shit happens too, man. You've been doing
Yeah,
improv forever and you still fuck up, and you're like, how? I've been doing this forever. How do I still
I
fuck
know.
it up?
There's no
So funny.
lines to fuck up, man.
Yeah, you're making it up, dude. But you still do it, you know? And
Oh.
you like this?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't like it as much as I like Echo.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How far did you watch in the Echo? Because I finished it.
You finished it? I think I got to episode 2 or 3.
Okay. Did you get to the part where there was a cool guest appearance?
From another Marvel caricature?
Yeah, did you see that part?
I want to say, wasn't that in the first epi?
Then you got there. I forget what it was. I watched it
Yeah.
all like in a sit.
yeah.
But it's really
Okay.
good. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll
Okay,
go.
so let's talk
You
about the
go.
pros by talking about the cons, okay? So
Perfect.
I enjoyed things that I enjoyed was how they utilized kind of dead space with noise to indicate the character. That was really interesting. I think they've done that before in other movies, but in this particular show, it really kind of pops.
Yeah,
I
it does.
enjoyed kind of the Native American aspect, the indigenous peoples aspect, the creation story aspect of it all.
The Choctaw Nation.
Yeah. And which I believe is in Oklahoma?
Correct.
And you like that?
I do, dude. Big fan of the Choctaw Nation.
Big fan.
Huge. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like that. I'll let you finish, but the real quick, the cutting in and out of like what how she's experiencing this scene that could be like a loud explosion or whatnot, and like how she's perceiving it, and then how everyone else perceiving it, and how like it flowed in and out of that really nicely.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. Every time they like dipped into her perceiving like a fight or whatnot and stuff, like it was really cool, and it really got you into her head. Like before she was about to do something, you're like, okay, I kind of can get an idea of what she's feeling right now, and
that makes
really
sense.
Really awesome.
Yeah, it's I like also that the cast is pretty much every single werewolf from Twilight. There are some portions where they kind of stereotype and heuristicize, I don't know that that's a word, Native Americans, for better or for worse, I think. In aspects, I know it's supposed to be funny. There are portions in time where Echo the character is kind of making these very like irrational. I understand why those decisions are being made, but they're irrational for the bigger portion of the fact of family. But then that also shows how disconnected from her family she is because of all the trauma that she's kind of gone through. And I think that's the story I want to see the most, is her kind of coming back together and recapturing that family that she kind of had but didn't really have, etc., towards the end of the show. Do you think that or from your experience, does that character arc fulfill itself into episode 7, 8? How many
I think it was only
episodes is
5
this?
episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it was only 5 episodes. Yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, it did an interesting thing. I wasn't prepared for it. Like I always saw the character as a more grounded, more I guess Daredevil's a stretch too, but like
Mm.
more of a they dip into like a power that she can tap into as the episodes go on, and like her ancestors, like it's almost like an kind of spoilers if you don't. Yeah, good point. Yeah, this just in. Thomas said it's kind of like a street level hero, and yeah, and I agree with that. I always kind of saw her as that, but she like started showing some powers of like Avatar shit. Like her
Oh, yeah,
ancestors were giving her powers that she could access, and towards the end of it, it really gets flushed out, and she's able to do that, which was cool. They were able to fit that in pretty nicely, but I felt like she didn't really. I don't know. It was more interesting just personally when she wasn't doing that, but it was cool. I really liked that sort of gave it opened the door to like her ancestors and explaining all of that history of the Choctaw Nation and all that, which I really liked. But I enjoyed the confrontation she had to take on without that.
Mm.
Like even the fact like she's not only deaf, but she grows up being a badass, right? She's like a mercenary type level person, and like she has a prosthetic leg on her right side from below her knee down, and she has like this awesome like metal leg she uses in fights, and like she wears pants so you don't know it, but she's like in a fight and she like kicks a metal chair at someone and it goes flying across the room, and they're freaking out like what the hell, but she has like this metal leg where she can like she's just kicking people across the head and they're going flying. Like it's pretty cool. Like
She have
the way they
magnets on
incorporate
there?
all that. She didn't, but that'd be kind of cool.
From all the places that she's been, maybe she's been to like she went out of state, North Dakota. She's got a little
It's
bison
so
on there.
funny. She pulls it up. She's like, memories.
Yeah,
She's arranging her magnet.
yeah.
They all have spikes on them. Yeah.
So,
but
in terms of the name Echo, you could make a argument the resonance, right?
Yeah, and that's
so
yeah.
What's echoing in the series for you?
Well, I guess that's where it ties it all together. Like her ancestors, they will reach out and help their future generations when they are in need, and the power sort of echoes through the generations to like help them. So she can like for instance, they show a part where like she can kind of use it to like use extra force and whatnot, but I think the main thing is kind of like if you watched Avatar, it kind of reminded me of that, where like the fifth thing he learned, like the fifth element, if you will, was like he could heal you and like take away your bending or heal you or whatever. So towards the ending, there's an aspect where she kind of does something like that, and that was really cool actually. It took it into a direction like, okay, this is a really cool way to use this power. But yeah, that's and then they tie it all like, oh, it echoes through generations. So I was like, okay, that was a cool way to tie it together. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Overall, it was a good show. Yeah, so just a little bit of a spoiler. Is that okay, Drake?
Yeah, spoil me.
Okay, so towards the end, the Kingpin is like he's popping in and out. Vincent D'Onofrio, freaking amazing job. He's popping in and out. They do flashbacks, right? Like her when she's younger and how he's like looking after her. And I do remember that thing now that I was thinking about when I was watching the show. There's a scene where he's talking with the lead, with Echo, and they have a translator, ASL translator, right? And she's like been there forever, like growing up. And there comes a point where like they're having a dinner, it's like a private dinner, it's just like them two and the translator. And in that moment I was like, man, this lady probably gets paid really good to like just do this for Kingpin, And then in that same scene I'm like, ooh, she's probably gonna die sometime. And then in that scene he's like, yeah, nothing in this room is gonna leave or something. And he's like, oh, you're dismissed, and dismisses her. And then she goes on the corner, and then they just like shoot her. Like, you hear her going, no. no. And I'm like, dude, that fucking sucks, dude. You know, like the
Yeah.
Kingpin, like there's little parts of this show they sprinkle in that like remind you how ruthless the Kingpin is. Like you kind of start liking him and start going, oh, maybe he's looking at me, maybe he is, and you're like, dude, this guy's fucking cold blooded. Like it makes you question if he, like you know, in a sick way he does love her, but like,
Yeah.
only if he can get the kind of love he wants out of it. You know, like
Thanos?
you got to be able to do stuff for him. Kind of, yeah. It's kind of a very good villain-esque relationship. But towards the end of the show, she uses that power on him. You think she's gonna like, she unleashes it, and you're like, oh, she's gonna punch him like the Kingpin, and he's gonna feel like what it feels like to get punched by someone like him. But she like hits him with this like hashtag heal, and like hits him in the head, and like you start jumping into his past, and like there's like a really powerful scene of him. Well, you'd imagine he's like a little boy listening to his mom being abused on the other side of the cement wall, and it's just like cracking and breaking, and you hear like screaming, and he's just like, no, like let it end, and she's like, you don't have to hold on to this anymore. And there's a hammer under his pillow, and he grabs it, and she's like, give me the hammer, and he's like, no, like, and he's freaking. I'm like, dude, this scene was like, it's a good scene. And it's the same wall from the Netflix Daredevil, so you're gonna get to see that when they incorporate all of it. It's great.
Easily broken. Does this series set up Kingpin as a street level Thanos?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, like, he's a great street level villain. I feel like maybe the best. It sets it up at the end where like you think like he might be on the path of healing. He's kind of like shook it. Like after he gets out, he's like, "What did you do to me?" And he's like, to the point where he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He's like, "Get me in the car." And he's driving off. But then you see him post-credit scene. Even more spoilers. New York is looking for a mayor, and they're like, if only we had someone that would come out of the shadows who's like, you know, a real bully type who just like could fund his own campaign. If only it was someone like that. And he like leans and he's like, turn that up. like you know, it's like a very like, maybe that's me. And you're like, okay, well here you.
Wow.
It seems like he's gonna be a bad guy again. But it was very like, if only we had a Kingpin, just describing him, just a real asshole, you know, to just come and clean up these streets. But I don't think he's healed. It seemed like there was a point where he was kind of maybe thinking about going to therapy or something, but that seemed like it went right out the window when he found out the mayor position was on the table.
Yeah.
So
it's like, oh man, I was going to use BetterHelp, our sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's so good though. John D'Onofrio is. Did I just say his name? Vincent.
John D'Onofrio? Who the fuck's that? Wow.
John
D'Onofrio.
I said John.
Vincent, bruh, Vincent.
Oh well. Jill D, so good in this. Just changing the names. Fucking Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he's kind of stood the test of time, right?
Good.
Like his acting kind of spans everything. I mean, he's been on hit blockbuster movies. He's been on, you know, Emmy award-winning TV shows. You know,
Sugar. One of his best. Sugar.
I think Tom Bomb from Above is asking if I liked his acting in Echo. Vincent D'Onofrio, or John D'Onofrio's, I should say. I did like his acting. I think his character is short and sweet. Barring or kind of balancing on that idea of force and manipulation, and also caring and tenderness. And I think that's why the Kingpin is so relatable, because he comes from a background where you're like, ooh, you know, I what would I be in that situation? At the same point in time, like how he's got to the point that he's gotten to, he's had to make the choice to be kind of the barbarian that he is, but he comes at it from an empathetic standpoint. So it's very hard to, I mean, it's easy to disagree with what he's doing, but it's also very easy to see why that way is the most effective way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And like, I like that. I mean, even physically, he's like such a big presence.
Yeah.
He makes me believe that he could be that Kingpin in the Into the Spider-Verse that smashes in Peter Parker's head.
The huge,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The way they make him act out these like, violence and strength, like throwing against a wall, and it's like you see the crack on that shit. Like, it's very believable. He does a really great job.
Spider-Man's Lex Luthor, right? Like,
yeah, he's kind of like that's what made me think of it when he was taking on the mayor position. It's like when Lex became president. Like, that's what it felt like. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Would
Great
we
villain.
compare Kingpin to Lex Luthor, or does Lex Luthor have a more obvious choice in the Marvel realm?
I mean, Lex Luthor's like on a much grander scale, I think.
Yeah, he's a Superman. Because I mean, Kingpin and the Kingpin's strong, but he's also his brain and his will, I think, are his best attributes. He's Daredevil's Lex Luthor. Yeah. He's Kingpin. Or I guess both, right? They're both really more intellectually sound than, say, for example, Darkseid or Thanos.
Right. Green Goblin is like Lex Luthor to Spider-Man. That makes sense. That's coming from Tom. Yes.
Let me just read this super monotone. Really Turtles are green. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a half shell turtle power. Okay, got it. We're back.
Yeah. All right, back to the view. Here we go.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah. Show's good. Check it out.
Yeah. How do we feel about Aquaman 2? I know we all got to watch it at one point in time. Do you think we should discuss it, or do you think we should?
I didn't get to watch it yet.
Wait, Scott,
Next time we will talk about it.
Okay. Next time we're gonna because Jason Momoa's.
Yeah.
Mauga, if you would. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we've got done with the news. We've got done with the trailers, and we said our reviews. So what more is there left, Scott, to say? Do you have anything?
I think there's something left to say that we both know that needs to be said.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably better said at the same time.
Yes.
After thanking everyone for tuning in, checking this out every week.
Yes.
Taking us up on the recommendations that we offer,
and also to our third brother, who is out and about, but we'll be back super soon. Speedy, back in beady. But Scott, I think it's time.
Before we go, I need to give a big shout out to Tom, because he's really good at keeping this thing going. And it's.
We just want to say to him and to all,
this is harder than it looks.
Yeah.
But thanks for sticking it with us. What is that?
Wait. Thanks for sticking it with us?
Thanks for sticking it with us.
The Joystick Show.